Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Thank you for taking out the time to join us this morning from New York City and evening in Nigeria. Thank you for taking the time to join us on Office of the Citizen. My name is Regina Askia Williams, and as always, it is a pleasure to have you with us. Okay, this morning we are going to be speaking with an icon of a personality, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. Okay, he's a Nigerian human rights activist, a pro-democracy campaign advocate. He's a founder of an online news agency, Sahara Reporters, and he is the convener of the Popular Revolution Now. He is popularly known as the unsung street hero in Nigeria, and we are very honored to have him in the studio. Okay, please help me welcome Mr. Omoyele Sowore. Sir, you are welcome to Office of the Citizen.
Thank you. Thank you so much for bringing me to that office. That very, very powerful office.
Very powerful.
More powerful than the president of any nation. Yes.
It is a pleasure to have you. You are very popular amongst Nigerians, and we are going to go through a little bit about you as a boy, as a man, and how you became an icon. And then we will go through a lot of the politics that's going on in Nigeria. Please bear in mind that most of us, right, the laymen, when it comes to politics, we do not understand the inner workings of the situation. So we expect to learn, to listen from those of you who have walked that path for many years. We expect to listen to you and learn, because it's only through this, that we can gain understanding and understand the role we are expected to play in helping bring Nigeria up. Okay? All right.
Yeah.
So first of all, let's talk about Sowore, the boy. All right. You are from Ondo State in Nigeria?
That's correct. Yes, Ondo State in Nigeria, from SL, the local government.
All right. Would that be considered the Niger Delta region?
That's right. It's the start of the Niger Delta region geographically.
All right. So we know that you have been doing a lot to support the grassroots in Nigeria. What have you particularly done for the Niger Delta region of Nigeria?
So I was part of the underground movement that started the environmental agitation in Niger Delta with the likes of Oronto Douglas, Olado Ife. In fact, I was part of a documentary that won an award that was done by Amy Goodman. We did a documentary, I think, in around 1998. Mm-hmm. It's called Drilling and Killing Oil. Chevron and Nigerian oil companies, what they did in killing when they invaded the Niger people with a helicopter shots and killed people in that region. So I've done a lot of work, a lot of activist work. I wasn't close to Ken Saro-Wiwa, but I met him.
Yes.
We were more part of the campaign for democracy during that era that preceded June 12th in 1990.
Okay.
1993. So we've come a long way, having fought environmental battles, human rights battles, pro-democracy battles, media battles, every kind of battle in the last 30 years.
I have it all listed down, and we're going to. Yes. So you were born in 1971, right? And in 1989, you got into the University of Lagos, right? Yes. 1989, you got into the University of Lagos, and you became the Students' Union leader in University of Lagos.
That's correct also, yes.
Yes. And at that time, you led two major protests, one in 1989 and one in 1992.
Well, so I got into school in 1989.
Yeah.
And in 1989, there was a protest against the IMF and the World Bank, the Structural Adjustment Program that I participated in. Even at that time, I was not yet a student per se. I was just like, I knew I'm going to the University of Lagos and participated. The one that I did as a student leader was 1992. And I participated in a lot of protests, but these are the major ones that were recorded because they had life-changing impact.
Yes.
The 1992 protest was a military must go protest. It was called Babangida must go. So protest was the beginning of the end of the military era that eventually ended in 1993 after the June 12 election, and the protests and resistance that followed when the military, former military dictator Babangida was in power, Ibrahim Babangida. So after that, I participated in a lot of protests. I protest every day, even as of yesterday.
You were yesterday.
Yes, we were at the court of appeal where my bail condition hearing was to be done. We got there, and they told us our case was not listed. There was a protest there. It's part of my gene. It's like it's coded in my DNA.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you have been protesting a long time. I'm sure you were born protesting, but that's okay. You need to have that character. Yes. And then you took this character and transferred it into the politics of the presidential campaign in Nigeria. What happened? Tell us about your journey in the presidential campaign of Nigeria. And sir, we have a lot of questions from viewers on the sideline, and I will be running them on screen and reading them out to you. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about your journey. Yes.
So in 2018, I looked at the terrain in Nigeria, the political terrain, and found out that Nigeria had suffered all these years from bad leadership, incompetent leadership, wicked leadership, ignorant leadership. And I decided to step into the ring and teach Nigerians how to run the country better than all the leaders that have run the country to the ground over all these years. Because I look back into Nigeria's history, can't find a leader, you can't find a former president who you can point to that did well.
Really?
And I look at it and say, because Nigeria has a problem. It's always, whenever Nigeria has a chance to turn the corner, it turns the wrong corner into the hands of crooks. And what we get served at the end of this experience is what keeps all of us enslaved.
Yes.
And in penury, in the conditions, the socio-economic conditions that we are in today, leadership.
Yes.
And I look at Nigeria has some of the best people around the world, some of the most creative people around the world, innovative people, some of the most educated people, some of the best doctors who are helping other countries are from Nigeria. How could a country with such level of expertise, human resources, end up being managed by competent people? That was what made me to go into the presidential election in 2018. And with little resources, we campaigned around the country. I didn't have a private jet, nothing. But we went to 34 states, went and campaigned to the grassroots. None of the other candidates, major candidates, went anywhere or said anything that on record that you can say that they campaigned. We had a manifesto that was unrivaled. In fact, they were stealing our ideas as we were campaigning and using it in their own campaign. But when they knew that this was causing a lot of trouble for them, they stopped us from participating in the debate. And that was where we wanted to humiliate all of them. Can you imagine me debating Buhari and Atiku, and we get a chance to present our manifesto, our programs, and we also have a chance to present our character. They knew that was going to be crazy. That was going to defeat them before the election. And suddenly they removed us from debate. And we went to court. We even went to court to say, look, we want to debate these characters. Let's talk about what they have planned for Nigeria. Let Nigeria have a chance to hear them speak, why we speak, and let them judge based on this. We were prevented. And sadly, some of the people who participated in removing my name from the debate were people in the independent media sector. Particularly the chairman of Channels, John Momo, who was part of the people who took this decision. They had a decision that I was uncontrollable, that if I went to a national debate on national TV, I would disgrace all these ancestors.
But are you uncontrollable?
What?
Are you uncontrollable?
No, what is uncontrollable? In their own mind, uncontrollable means somebody that cannot be told to do what is wrong. That is what they mean by uncontrollable. Someone who will always take his stand, regardless of whose ox is God. That is what they mean by uncontrollable.
Okay.
You must give everybody a chance. It's not for them to determine before the debate that I was on. It's for the Nigerian people to determine my character. It's because it was an opportunity to present who we are to the people. So they stopped us. They stopped us from participating in debates. We went to court. The judge did not even hear the case till today. He told us he was on vacation, threw the case back to the chief judge because he said his vacation ended on that day. And then that was the end. We never got to participate in a debate. Even though when they were doing the selection for the debate, in some markets, I came first. Over and above these ancestors of ours who are also contesting. In some places, I came third. But I came, I was the third most favored person to be in because they did polls.
Okay.
They did, yes. And everywhere they went, people said they wanted me to be on debate, to take on these older characters who had been running Nigeria to the ground. That was how we did it. And when we went into election, as you can imagine, there was no election. They had decided that they would not have an election, that it was going to be a selection. And they went ahead and selected one of them who didn't win the election at all. Because according to what we saw, they brought in soldiers and hijacked ballot papers, ballot boxes, and in places where people really voted, they met and changed all the results at the collation center.
Let me ask you, when you noticed that they were not going to allow the young people to participate in the debate, that should have given you an inkling of what was going to come in the future. You guys got together to select a consensus candidate. What happened to that process?
But the consensus candidate was ruined by the Nigerian factor. What was the Nigerian factor?
Tell us.
They claim at the first meeting we had that we had over 15 young people who were running for president.
Yes.
Out of the 15, I only know 6 of them. 10 of them were working for one person. And also Buhari sent some.
Them were working on one person.
Buhari sent some of the people there who claimed they were running too. Someone like one guy named Buhari. His name is also Buhari. He was working for Buhari. Eventually stepped down for Buhari. So when we got there, I discovered that there was fraud, and I told them that I can't be part of this. If we want to have young candidates selected, let's go for the primaries of our various parties. Whoever wins at the primaries, then we can select amongst ourselves who is best. They said no. So eventually, to tell you how bad it was, even the umpire, Obiose Ekwesili, eventually jumped into the race. But I didn't participate because I saw that, one, it was going to now bring a result that was fair and just. Secondly, looked at some of the young candidates. They were sponsored by these same old people. They were just using them as a facade to present to the young, so that young people will be fooled to believe that, oh, young people are ready, young people are ready. For instance, I asked them, why is it that you young candidates, why are you not attacking the old system? Not the old people, but the old system. Because my problem with the Nigerian leadership at that point wasn't the fact that they were old, but it was because the ideas were too old and not in tandem with any modern society. So there was no basis. No basis for people who still believe in the old. And I can say categorically here, when we went later in the evening to Charlie Boy's house to continue the conversation, one of the leaders, young leaders who I respected, who was Kingsley Moghalu, said openly, "You see, we have consulted with the elders." I'm quoting him verbatim. And the elders said that, yes, they want to hand over to the youth, but they want the youth that are not too aggressive. They want to hand over to a youth that is not too problematic. Apparently, he was referring to me. So I said in the meeting, I said, any handing over of power in this country to a set of youth that still believes in all these old people is going to be a scam. I'm not part of it. That was the last time I attended their meeting. They went ahead, chose one of them as the youth candidate. It didn't turn out as Kingsley Moghalu wanted. And Kingsley Moghalu bailed out of that agreement. I wasn't part of it. But when they wanted to report it to the media, they made sure that my name was included, as they said Sowore defeated at consensus candidate meeting. Whereas I wasn't even part of it, I left after the first day. So Kingsley Moghalu was schemed out. Bella won. And Kingsley said, yeah, well, that was what he claimed, that he was schemed out. But Obi as a Kwesili, right? Kwesili, who was the umpire, said that the process was fair. In fact, they showed me a video of where Kingsley Moghalu accepted that the process was fair. But regardless, he jettisoned the arrangement and went ahead and kept running. And I kept, because I didn't want to waste my time on that, I kept campaigning around the country. Even the numbers they allocated to us, what INEC allocated to the young people, I came out top of the people who were part of that process. We showed to you that in terms of acceptance, I was a better candidate to a lot of people in the country. And I'm saying that numbers were allocated to us, absolutely allocated to us. The numbers you saw did not reflect the way people voted in that election. I can tell you, absolutely about what happened in 2019. And that was the reason why, as soon as the elections were over, we had to take reality into consideration, and we started fighting for our lives. We had to take a different direction. We have to up the game through revolution now.
Okay, before we get to the revolution, let me ask you, keep talking about old people. As a matter of fact, there's a statement that's accredited to you. An analog brain cannot lead a digital
society.
Yes. Okay, so I would like to ask you, for most of us, we saw you as an offshoot of the Jagaban, who is in the person of Alhaji Bola.
You mean Bola Tinubu?
Yes. What is your connection to him?
Because you make a preemptive statement. You say you saw me as an offshoot. How did you come to the conclusion that I was his offshoot?
Because there's a lot of rumor going on. When we started this discussion, I let you know that we on the outside see Nigerian politics as smoky mirrors. The more you look, the less you see. There is very little understanding. So we would like to hear from you what your connection is with Alhaji Bola Tinubu, because it looked like, from what we had been hearing in the grapevine, that you were presented by him as a forerunner to his own presidential dreams. So please talk to us about that and clear the air if need be.
That's clearly false.
Okay.
I have no connection with him, and I've said it publicly several times.
Yeah.
I challenge everybody who had been, circulating this rumor, right? That if you ever see me in his house or met him anywhere, because you said those of us who live outside, I lived outside too for 20 years. I was in New York with you, we were neighbors.
Yes.
So until I headed back in 2018 to run for office. Yeah. So I know the inside and I know the outside.
We want to know.
Well. Yes. So I have no relationship with Tinubu, and I said it even in Chicago. I said it in Chicago. I also stated it in Toronto. Before Nigerian video is very popular, it went viral. Where I challenge anybody who has evidence that I've ever met Tinubu before in my life, except in 1999 when I was about to leave Nigeria, where I met him on the streets with Obani Koro and Fashion. And Dr. Fashion said, "This is Bola Tinubu." Bola Tinubu looked so haggard in those days. He was wearing like sandals. He didn't even have a car that they drove. They were walking on the streets. Obani Koro was running for chairmanship of the Ikeja local government. Bola Tinubu at that time had not even had his fate decided as whether he could become Lagos governor or not. It's the first and only time I've ever met Tinubu in my life. So how do I become his stooge? People make up all these stories because they cannot understand that there are young people in Nigeria who can stand on their own, who have dignity, because most young people rely on all these oldies to make it in life. If they don't introduce you to politics, you can't make it. If you have never killed for them, you can't make it. You don't have the charge of it.
All right. So
if you have never been to and if you have never sworn to an oath with them, if you have never collected money from them, you can never make it. I don't belong in that category of youth. I say it just to close that loop for you.
Yeah.
That in 1992, when I was a student union president, when we go for meetings,
yes,
pro-democracy meetings, when I would sit in front and make presentation, Bola Tinubu and the rest of them would be sitting in the crowd. I was very young then, and I'm not saying this to brag. This was 1992. I was 21 years old. If you doubt it, you have a video of me and Abiola, 1993, where I was standing behind him. It shows you the relevance of our own movement at that time. We're not just small-time activists. We were known nationally and internationally as pro-democracy student activists across the world.
Oh,
so
right.
there's nothing to hide. There's documentary evidence that I was never an appendage of the man they call Bola Tinubu. Okay. If I fall on top of him, I don't know that he will recognize me, apart from knowing me on TV, internet, and knowing that I operate Sahara Reporters and other. So these insinuations have been around just because of people who want something that they can, spread around to make people disbelieve that a new force for progress has come into town.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you. I actually, from my understanding or from what I have, assessed from the grapevine, the Jagaban, Bola Tinubu, is like a godfather of the politics of the West. He has made a lot of people into big, people in their political careers. He has supported a lot of governors, commissioners, and it continues like that. So he holds serious power in Western politics, okay? Now, there's also the Northern politics, and those people are operating their own, as favors them. The people from the East don't seem to have a cohesiveness that is necessary to present a power block, and then the rest of us, the Nigerian populace who do not have a godfather or who do not belong to any one of these sects, we're lost in the middle. However brilliant you are, however talented you are with what you can present to help build Nigeria, you're lost because you cannot come through any one of these. And it was nice to see somebody like you erupt from seemingly, from among the masses and hold your own down. But I would like to take you back to the days of Buhari. There was a time you were really in support of Buhari. Do you have any regrets at this point when you see his performance from,
Regina, it's very important that you make informed,
yes.
You make informed conversations.
Yes.
Do not.
But you say
no. Wait. Can you listen to me for a second?
And we got the
No.
Yeah.
No. Wait. Look.
Yes.
You also prepared for this interview so that
me and you
sound as if somebody else prepared you for the interview.
The questions we got from the popular.
Wait now.
Yes.
I'm asking you. This time you do this, I am an evidence-based person.
Absolutely.
If I were to accuse you of something tomorrow, if I accuse you of taking money from the Akwa Ibom governor, where you are from, right? Yeah?
Yes.
You'll be able to say this is the time you went into the governor's office.
Yes.
The accountant was called in to come and see you.
Yeah.
And then you came out with an envelope at so time.
Yes.
That is
evidence-based.
Can you present not to me, not to the public, the speaking public, not just what people said. Any video of me campaigning for Buhari, any meeting between me or Buhari, right? Any article I wrote on behalf of Buhari that asked Nigerians to vote for Buhari in 2015, or is it in 2019 that I ran against him, abused him across Nigeria? Can you please present it as an evidence that I voted for Buhari, or that I asked people to vote for Buhari, instead of just making up stories based on what you said people told you? Anything?
Okay, no, I cannot present it. But then again, this platform speaks for the people. So when we have an interview with an icon like you, we make a poll, send in your questions. And when they send in their questions, I forward them to you. And this is an opportunity to shed more light on these things that the people are talking to me about. Of course, I do not have any video evidence and I'm not making categorical statements. I am presenting statements from members of the public for you to speak on, because if you're going to come to campaign again, and then these rumors are circulating, we need to know. You need to be able to say,
are you a gossip channel, or you just, or you want to?
I am a voice of the people. I listen to the people and I share what they say. So, sir, please go ahead and talk to us about Buhari and your participation.
I can come to the gossip level with you, but that is not the conversation I'm having with you. Look, when I agreed to come on your platform, I take it that we are having serious conversation about the future of Nigeria, the African continent, and even the world. You know, because we have a place in a global space, right, to assert ourselves and show that the narrative that is out there about us, we take it out, we cancel it. And we can only do it by serious conversation, not what they said. You know, I would admit to you that, you know, look, I've offended a lot of powerful people in Nigeria politically, including some of the people you claim that I'm supporting. You know,
I know that.
Of this world, you know, I was put in prison, in jail for 5 months up to December last year. If I had any dealings with these people, they would have put it out. They would have used it against me in the courtroom. They couldn't. They have nothing, because I don't deal in the dark. I don't deal under the table. I challenge them, right? And I've debunked this several times and told people. But you see, there are a bunch of these people you listen to, right, that are offended from the past. You know, I have worked against 7 presidents in my lifetime, starting from Babangida, right, when I was a student union activist. I went from there to Shonekon, to Abacha, from Abacha to Salam, from Abu Salam to Obasanjo, from Obasanjo to Yaradua, from Yaradua to Jonathan, from Jonathan to Buhari. Imagine the number of presidents that I've seen and worked against and fought against in my lifetime. So people turn around, their supporters are out there, they are like unforgiving, because they don't expect that anybody can dare their heroes. But we're telling them your heroes are criminals in the eyes of decency. And we challenge them, we take them on. So they not only do this, you know, they sue me all the time. You know, sometimes pastors, I have problem with pastors, Nigerian pastors. Now I have problems with him. Yes. Based on my work on Sahara Reporters, I have a pastor, the pastor of the fire ministry in Lagos, who sued me in Akwa Ibom in 3 courts, sued me in the US. The lawsuit is still there. The pastor of, what's the name of that?
But why? Why would the pastor sue you?
Because they don't, you see, when you take them on and expose the fact that all the things they do don't belong in the realm that they present them, they can't take it. They can't understand the challenge of their power. Some of the most oppressive people in the world are religious leaders, because whatever they say, they don't want anybody to counter it. And I asked the pastor, if you believe in God, why do you have to take me to a Nigerian court? Why don't you let God? Why don't you let us wait on Judgment Day for this to be resolved? So I had there was another pastor who we had an issue with. Yes, the man, when I was detained, he was making fun of me, Apostle Suleiman, that if I had not offended him, he would have come and signed up for my bail. You know, so they thought that, yes, he said it on Twitter. So they thought that, oh, you should rest down. And they might even be preaching in their church that my arrest has something to do with God punishing me for my acts. So this is the kind of country we are. So when you are taking on all these sectors, including now Right now, we have a man, there's a minister of communication who is a powerful Islamic scholar who has followers. His followers were threatening me recently because of what Sahara reporters wrote about him. You know, so it's a very oppressive system. Everybody is an oppressor. Your landlord, your pastor, your imam, the governor, chairman, local councillor, the commissioner of police, IG of police, you know, the general in charge of the army, navy, you know, air force. Everybody wants to squash you. Your bank manager, anybody, your traditional ruler. I've had confrontations with all these people. Vice chancellors of universities. I was expelled twice from the University of Lagos for fighting for human rights, fighting for democracy in my country.
Oh, okay.
And I'm still in court facing criminal charges as we speak because I dared the system.
All right, let me ask you. You know, you have gone through a lot. You have done a lot of activism, a lot of marching, a lot of protests. You've been arrested, rearrested. You have dodged bullets. And you're alive. You are still alive.
Yes.
Thank God for your life. But then, don't you think it's time to change your approach? Wouldn't you consider changing your approach? I mean, after all this, we still have not been able to get any progress. Okay, or do you think you have made progress? If you think you have made progress or not made as much progress, how do you think you could do things differently for maximum impact?
What do you think is the biggest progress made in Nigeria in the last 30 years?
Tell me.
The transition from military to civilian rule.
Do we
forget about the fact
the civilian rule?
Well, yes, that's I use the word civilian rule. I didn't say democracy. Civilian rule. Because being a civilian means that you don't wear military uniform. It's not the same thing as the character of democracy. So, but the military was our biggest problem in the 90s. I was part of the people, lots of them. I'm not claiming credit for it all by myself, that fought for democratic rule, civilian rule today. Big progress. It was what everybody wanted, right? And then after that, I've been part of people holding the feet of our leaders to fire. Yes. You can't. So sometimes people think about impact in terms of things that can get you the national award. No. Sometimes the intrinsic value of the battles we fight now may not even be measured until after we're gone. Right? So the number of people who get saved because you said a word or because you tweet something, you have no idea how these things work. The other alternative is to join them, make money, drive big cars, drive in convoys, and people clear road for me. I built mansions, but people deep inside their minds are cursing me out. So it's a selfless service. As a matter of fact, we shouldn't look at impact from what people can praise, especially in our society here. So there's nothing to change in terms of strategy. The strategy I've been using since I was a student activist is a strategy that is working for Nigeria today, because each time Nigeria goes down, who do they call for? Who do they go to? The activists. Please come and save us. There is corruption. Please come and write about it. I have petition. Please help me publish it. Buhari is not giving us uniform. Please let the whole world know. So whenever people are down, they come to us. And we have been playing that role. I'm not the only person. So if the strategies weren't working, I wouldn't be getting into trouble.
Okay.
They would have ignored me. Yes.
Okay. All right. So well said. Well said. Now let's talk about Nigeria. Okay. Do you think Nigeria?
I thought we were talking about Nigeria all this while.
I mean, there's the unity of Nigeria. Okay. Do you think that Nigeria will survive, or is as one entity, or is it better off as separate units? People are calling for Duduwa Republic, Biafra, Arewa Republic. What do you think?
Well, listen. Nigeria cannot survive and has never survived based on the injustices that Nigeria perpetrates against its people. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody can force a people who are not compatible to stay together. Even if you like, you can drop an atomic bomb on them. If they don't want to stay together, they won't stay together. But what can keep Nigeria as one, united, and purposeful, and prosperous is justice.
Justice. Justice for
Yes.
every Nigerian, irrespective of where they come from.
Where they come from, an average Nigerian must be able to stay wherever they want to stay. They must be able to get a job wherever they want to get a job without being discriminated against.
Yes.
What is practiced in Nigeria, the discrimination in Nigeria, in the Nigerian public and private sector, is worse than the racism that is driving Black Lives Matter in the US. In fact, the week that George Floyd was killed, there are probably 5 Nigerians that were shot to death that were killed also by our security forces. Who cares? Because it's an unjust, unfair, and an untrustworthy system in place. And until you put that together, until you put a country in place that supports everybody's aspiration for greatness, where the child of the poor can go to the school in the same place the child of the rich goes to school, there can never be a united Nigeria. The unity that you are seeing of Nigeria is the unity of propaganda. They have to repeat it on NTA every night. Have you ever seen on American TV every night, oh, stay united, stay united? Because if you work in America, you are probably going to get paid on Friday or 2 weeks later.
Yes.
Right? If you have a job, you have health insurance. If you have a car, right?
Yes.
You are likely to drive it on the good road.
Yes.
So what you need, the basic necessities of life, is available to you. So you don't need anybody to remind you that America is united, even though it has 50 states, and one of America's states, Alaska, is bigger than Nigeria. So, but we have to keep reminding people every night on NTA, oh, please, stay united, stay united. This country is indivisible. That means that there's a problem with the country already. We are just pretending about it. But on the other side, I must not fail to say that just thinking that breaking up Nigeria will solve Nigeria's problem is living a fool's paradise.
Exactly. Yes.
I have been around here for some 30 years. I understand the workings of Nigeria, the nuances politically, how Nigeria works. Every time Nigeria is destroyed, every time something is stolen, every time a contract is not executed, it is done by everybody from every ethnic group. So if you divide Nigeria up, the Oduduwa people, my people, we find out very quickly that the bastards among them will overwhelm Yoruba land in 3 months. So that time you have nowhere to run to, because all the Oduduwa leaders who are your new slave masters know your father's house, they know your mother's house, they know your street. So there's nowhere to run. The justice that eluded you in Nigeria, you will get no justice in Oduduwa land, because what we needed to do has not been done first.
Yes.
You will then be looking for a revolution in Oduduwa land because the bad guys have taken over your country.
Yes.
The same thing will happen in Biafra. I've spoken to my friend Nnamdi Kanu. We met. I said to him, let's do a revolution together. Let's fight to bring good leadership in Nigeria. Because the Biafra nation you are proposing today, you may not be able to last 6 months in that place with the kind of Biafrans who are training in today's Nigeria, who have been trained thieves, assassins, buccaneers, 10%ers, liars, dissemblers. They will come and overwhelm your Biafra.
Yes.
But the same thing for the Niger Delta region. I said it to the Niger Delta region brothers because I'm also from there when they were agitating. I said, imagine that the Niger Delta region is Christmas tree at night, and the rest of Nigeria is poverty, no money, no water. The only place you can find water is the Niger Delta nation. The only place you can find medicine is Niger Delta. The only place you can find good roads, good schools is Niger Delta. What do you think the rest of Nigeria will be doing?
Everybody
they will move all of them down to the Niger Delta region and overwhelm your physical and social infrastructure.
Yes.
You will be you'll be going through the same problem that you are running away from, because when there's prosperity, it attracts people. I don't know if you have read the story or heard the story about the Wild West. It was based on a fable that gold was discovered in the west of the US, and everybody that had a knife started heading there, because they said most of the people, 90% of the people who relocated to the Wild West, did not find a dust of gold, but they had weapons.
Yes.
And movies have been made from that, because anytime there's a rumor that somebody has gold, they'll go there and kill the person. Discover that the person doesn't even have the gold. That means he doesn't have gold. So it's the same thing that will happen to Nigeria. If any part of Nigeria breaks away and is prosperous, the rest of Nigeria will go overwhelm that section.
So what is the solution? What do we do? Restructuring, regional or federating units? What do you say?
No. Look, people are talking about restructuring, and I make it very clear based on my experience. The people who are proposing restructuring don't understand what they mean.
Really?
They are actually saying to you, no, yes, I know them. A lot of them are my friends. I asked them in private, what does it mean to restructure Nigeria? Some of them said that, each of the regions should go away and make so that all the money that comes from the region can go into the pocket of the region, and that region can then make progress at their own pace.
Yes.
But the question the restructuring people did not answer is that, where are you going to get the good leaders in the restructured Nigeria to run the restructured regions? Where are they going to come from? They are going to come from the same central Nigeria that we are in now.
Yes.
Because ask yourself a question: who is the governor of Abia State? It's not an Igbo man. Who is the governor of Ondo State? Is it not a Yoruba man?
Yes.
Why is it that those governors are cheating their people, even though they are from their own ethnic group? Why is it that the money that's coming from Ondo State is not being used to build schools? It's a character issue. It's a leadership issue. If we can get leadership right in Nigeria, you get the right guy at the center.
Yes.
Or even in a restructured Nigeria, there is no way Nigeria will not make progress.
Okay.
No way. In fact, only a good leader can allow restructuring of Nigeria. And I say it finally to you on this matter of division. People are saying that they want to divide Nigeria and that they don't want to fight. They don't want to go to war. There is no way you can divide Nigeria today without going to war. Because the forces that benefit from the united Nigeria that you want to break away from will not go to sleep.
And allow you to divide, yes.
Why you divide and take away their social security gold mine, they will fight you to finish. Common protests, peaceful protests in Biafra land, they send Operation Two-Face, Operation Three-Head, Operation Cow, Operation Snake. Every operation is on ground. Just common peaceful protests.
Yes.
I planned Revolution Now protest in Lagos. They spent 10 billion naira to put down that revolution. Just a protest, peaceful protest, that the court in Lagos has now said is legitimate. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
So the people who are saying restructuring, when they get their own candidate into the presidential office,
yes,
and they are getting spoils of office, they forget restructuring. Let me tell you, now that they are taking Tinubu down, right?
They took Tinubu down.
Yes, Tinubu is on his way down. He was going to fall very hard pretty soon. You will start hearing from Tinubu's side now. They'll be talking about restructuring. Anytime they lose out, they will come with a sing song. They'll come with a buzzword. Yes, Tinubu is on his way down. They've taken the party away from him. When I was arrested,
they took it from Omoyele, not Tinubu.
Yeah, no, Omoyele is Tinubu's boy.
Thank you. Okay.
It's an
Okay.
appendage to Tinubu. But what I'm trying to tell you is that,
Yes.
when they finish with Tinubu, they will take Lagos away from him because that's where his economic and financial power comes from to organize the way he is that makes people feel he's real or that he's some genius. There's no genius to Tinubu's organizing. It's just access to stolen funds and wealth from Lagos. The moment they take that away, Tinubu will be as poor as the church rat. Because ask Tinubu what is his day job? Nothing. It is true the milking of Lagos. It is true the making of Lagos that he became the super billionaire that he became today. The moment you take that spigot away, the man will be broke like a church rat. So, and I want to make it clear because I see some comments saying that, oh, restructuring can work. I'm not saying restructuring cannot work. I'm just saying that the people who are proposing restructuring now are not proposing the kind of restructuring that will work for you and me. Even when they're having their meetings, their so-called restructuring meetings, they don't invite me there. They don't invite you there. It's a meeting of old people.
Yes.
The youngest people who are discussing restructuring are in their 80s. Clark, Adebanjo in Yoruba land, and it's some old people they don't invite young people there. But the population of Nigeria is 70% of young people.
Yes.
There's no way that I will become Nigeria president, right? One of my first priority will be to take down this fraudulent constitution, the 1999 constitution that was created by the military.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but you cannot do it with the present system without first of all jettisoning and abandoning the current system of government. The current system cannot guarantee free and fair elections.
Yes.
So this is what is very clear. These are conversations we must be having instead of deceiving ourselves. Because I see people who say to me, "Oh, go and wait for 2023." With these people, the way they are going now, 2023 election has already been decided. Yes.
Okay, so
we have decided.
Okay, what do you advise the average Nigerian to do right now in the present situation, in preparation for 2023? I am hoping that we out in the diaspora will have a chance to vote, or our voices will be heard. What do you suggest we do? How do we organize ourselves to make an impact in the next dispensation in Nigeria?
I love the diaspora voting rights thing. I'm for it. I want the diasporans to vote.
Yes.
But the simple question I have for you is that at which embassy are you going to vote? Which consulate are you going to vote? Is it the same people who cannot provide you a passport? Wait now. Is it the same people who cannot provide you a passport that will deliver your vote back home? No, ask yourself that very serious question. So we don't have to deceive ourselves. Diaspora voting is simple. We can vote online, but there must still be a collation center in your country of abode. They will go and apply for passports. Ask them to send it to your house. You won't get it, even though you have already paid for FedEx, or you paid for some foolproof means of delivery. You go through that. I go through that. People who cannot even sweep the embassy, or people who refuse to pay embassy rents, who don't have a working elevator, water, electricity. Are those the people who are going to deliver your diaspora vote safe and sound?
No,
let's fight for it.
Wait, what do we do? Where do we start from? We have something.
No, the diaspora community is very powerful, but they have not realized their power yet. And their power is what is keeping Nigeria going. The financial contributions you make to Nigeria is bigger than the Nigerian budget every year. When the diaspora is there, and I've spoken to a lot of our diaspora people already, anytime you send money home, put aside $5 for the fight to liberate Nigeria. It's not to buy weapons. It's to create enough awareness. We don't need to shoot anybody. We don't need to kill anybody to instill a change, real change in Nigeria. We just need to, one day, every Nigerian decide, not every Nigerian, because some people will always be on the wrong side of history, to say, look, enough is enough. And the majority of us say the current system of reform cannot deliver us to the promised land. So we want a different system. We want the old people out of the way. We want the ancestral way of doing things, our ancestors, to be out of the way, retire all of them, and put in place the expertise you have in the diaspora can be better used on the ground here in Nigeria. But you are hiding out there because if you come home, somebody is likely to follow you from the airport and kidnap you. If they don't kidnap you, when you get home, there's no electricity. The basic necessity of things that keeps you happy, that keeps you motivated, are completely absent from the system here. So that is why we are all hiding out there. Otherwise, there are Nigerian surgeons, economists, nuclear scientists out there. And it's to answer a question that somebody was saying, right? That one person cannot do it. I'm not expecting that I'll be the only person who will do the job, but who the president of the nation is the human resources officer of the nation who can look for the best, right, and the brightest anywhere in the world to take care of basic problems of the country in the healthcare sector, in the infrastructure sector, in the security sector, in the power sector, energy sector, health sector, agricultural sector, tourism sector. These are things that we elaborated and initiated when I campaigned around the country. Instead of them to vote for us, well, people voted, they started stealing the ideas and claiming that they own it. So that's how we find ourselves where we are today. That's how we find, until we decide that enough is enough and we don't want this anymore, both people at home and abroad. We are going to keep repeating the mistakes that have kept us down. Somebody also raised something that I saw there, saying that we should work for Electoral Reform Act. The problem is not the act. The problem is the behavior of people who conduct elections in Nigeria. They don't believe in democracy. And election is one of the most important ingredients of democracy, right? It's one of the tenets, one of things that must happen for democracy to be respectable in any society. They don't believe in it. They believe in cutting corners. So you can give them laws. You can make as many laws as possible. As long as you don't eliminate them from as middlemen between you and your democratic rights, you are wasting your time. The National Assembly, go ahead.
Atiku, during his campaign, Atiku raised, he made a point on how he was going to curb corruption using an online system. Did you hear, are you aware of his, the points he proposed? And what would you do to curb corruption? Because Nigeria cannot go anywhere until we stem the corruption that is on ground right now in the security, in the voting system, everywhere. What would you do if you were Nigeria's president to contain corruption, ensure security, so that people can really come home and invest their ideas? What would you do?
I'm glad you mentioned Atiku, right? If he ever mentioned that he wants to use digital technology to fight corruption, he probably stole the idea from us. Because we were talking about, yes. The reason I said so is that the question you should ask yourself, was Atiku not vice president of Nigeria for 8 years?
Yes.
How come he didn't put an online structure in place for payment of salaries, for the procurement process, for contracting, open, transparent, and accountable technology that all countries are using? Technology did not come yesterday. The kind of technology that he's talking about has been around before he became vice president. What did he do? Apart from awarding himself and allocating himself a university when lecturers were on strike, him and former President Obasanjo. So when we are the question we are having now, the conversation we are having is not about the articles of this world. Those are things of the past. We are talking about the future of people with digital understanding of how the world works.
Yes.
That's the conversation we are having, not Atiku. Atiku has been he has been everything that you possibly could be. A custom officer. When he was in the customs, why didn't they use technology so that they will not steal? Where did he make his own money from? Can you ask him? How did he become a billionaire? Where is his cocoa farm? Or where is his granite farm that he made billions from? So when people like that come and give you yes, I don't think in conversations like this we should be repeating names of people the problems of
Okay.
Nigeria.
All right.
It's the reason I wanted to debate them so that we
Yes.
can have an understanding of how to end this nonsense on national TV. And I'm still willing to debate them even before the next election.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about the Nigerian economy right now. Before we close out, people are already calling you. Let's talk about the Nigerian economy. There's been so much borrowing going on. So much borrowing. And then when you look at who is going to pay back this, it's going to be our children and our grandchildren. Can you talk about that? The ballooning national debt and its impact on Nigerians and what Nigerians could do to help themselves economically. If you think about, the future and what is coming because of this borrowing.
Oh, you're talking about the national debt.
The national debt and the impact on the ordinary Nigerians, because somehow they'll have to
I missed that question. Can you repeat the question as a whole again, if you don't mind?
Okay. Now, Nigeria has been borrowing a lot of money. The national debt has been exploding, ballooning, and getting bigger. Who is going to pay back this national debt? Nigerians, okay? And they're not in a position to. Maybe not even in our lifetime, our children and our grandchildren will have to pay back this debt. Okay.
Yes.
What are Nigerians going to do to protect themselves? Because the meaning of paying back debt is that they're going to have to come up with money in terms of more taxes, in terms of you name it. There's going to be a lot of new rules to take money from Nigerians who are already impoverished. What do they do to protect themselves? Okay. And please comment on, should the nation be borrowing this way? But when you're commenting on that, okay, remember that there's big industrial pipelines and big mechanized things going on up north that should bring the country money. Maybe it's how they're planning to pay back. I don't know. Talk to us about that.
You see, there are two ways that borrowing can help a country.
Yeah.
I mean, one way, if you borrow for infrastructural development,
which is going on.
Well, just listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually pay back the loans on time, and you have to look at what is your debt ratio to your GDP.
Yes.
Nigeria's own debt ratio to the GDP right now is beyond control. But what is killing Nigeria right now with the borrowing? Nigeria is borrowing to consume.
Yes.
Right. And the borrowing that is happening, that is going on, right, is borrowing that is to create a credit for the elites. Because the reason we are borrowing is to show up our inability to maintain what they call a foreign reserve. Because we don't have enough. And when you have a foreign reserve, it's not for the poor. It's to take care of the bad habits of the rich. So you keep a certain reserve. It's like your credit line, so that when you are buying toothpicks from abroad, champagne, jets, Rolls Royce, there's a backlog of money that should be going into education.
Yes.
In the Bank of England. What is funny and curious is the Bank of England, who takes oil from us since who've been taking oil from 1956. They don't have any foreign reserve in Nigeria where they take the raw materials from. But they force us in this iniquitous international arrangements to keep a certain amount of balance for the rich. Answering your question about the debt that's going on, these guys are just borrowing to take care of their problems, to rig elections, to buy elections, and Nigerians will be saddled with repaying these debts, or they will be forced into international economic arrangements that's compromising in the future. So our future and the future of our children is at stake. But who are the people borrowing? Bad leaders are the ones borrowing. And you and I know in the US that you cannot get a credit card twice if your credit rating is bad.
Yes.
Ask yourself, why do they keep giving Nigeria money when they know that the leaders are bad and are not using the borrowed funds to implement projects for which they borrow money. These are questions we will answer when you have the right kind of leaders in place. I will challenge every dime that has been borrowed by any of these Nigerian leaders and the people who borrowed them money. There will have to be a moratorium on repayment because
Yes.
the question Nigerians are asking is, you see, when you borrow, there's a component of it that is principal,
Yes.
right, and interest. And most of the interest rates at which we are borrowing when they are celebrating the euro bond is compounded.
Yes.
So you will never even reach the principal. You're just going to be, in fact,
Financing
most of the time you don't even make, you are just rescheduling. Rescheduling of loans has nothing to do with repayment of interest or the principal of the loan. It's just saying, look, I can't pay this year, and let me give you 600 million so that we can discuss next. Okay, put it here. So it's a scam.
Mm-hmm.
It's a scam, and the people who are giving us loans are loan sharks.
Yes.
Some of them will never be acceptable to any decent society.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have the right leaders, you will sit down with these people and have a conversation as to why you are giving loans to irresponsible people.
Yes.
Irresponsible customers.
Mm-hmm.
And who did you give the loan to? When the loans were given, you saw that the loan went back through the back door because you are monitoring these loans. How come you didn't shout? How come you didn't reveal that the loans were stolen through the back door?
Yes.
These are issues to be discussed, and I don't think we can handle it on your show because they are very deep. But when you have the right kind of leaders, when you have the right kind of leaders, you can have this conversation. See, during the contest we had,
yes,
some of the candidates used to claim that, oh, I don't have economic background. And when I don't want to mention, when I took on one of them on TV, he ran away. He never had a debate with me anymore because they realized that I even have. Hey, Kingsley Mogalu.
Ah, no.
Kingsley Mogalu, who I've seen on your show,
Yes.
He used to claim that he's an economist, he's an economist,
Take that away from him.
I took him on just one topic, minimum wage. He said he doesn't even know what to pay Nigeria. He has not decided what to pay Nigerian workers. But at that point, he had already said that they will put aside 1.5 trillion naira to be given to the private sector. I said, who is private sector? Yes. So when we had that conversation, it changed the dynamics of the discussion as per who is the economist and who is not the economist. You can claim to be an economist because the World Bank likes you, or the IMF, the International Monetary Fraud, endorses you, but that doesn't make you an economist. An economist is a person who understands how their own local economy can benefit their own people. Okay. This one we are talking about debt. When you go to Union Square in New York, there's a debt counter there.
Yes.
That tells you how much America is owing and how much of the debt is your own portion.
Yes.
So America owes a lot too,
yes.
But they have the military power to also organize some of those things. Like I said, it's a conversation for another day.
Okay, so now the last one before we go, I wish we had time to speak on security in Nigeria, whether you support regional policing, Amotekun and the rest of it. But I want you to speak on COVID, the COVID situation in Nigeria, and what you would like to see done to help the healthcare system take care of the people.
See, when I was campaigning, I elaborated how we can start preparing for health emergencies.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
And I proposed at that time that within a year we should have at least 600,000 nurses spread across Nigeria.
Yes.
To take care of primary health care, a little bit of secondary health care. Some of them will go on tertiary health care. When I said it on a show after I was released from detention, some guys said, no, Sowore doesn't know where are we going to get the money to do this. And nurses require 4 years or 5 years to train. I said, look at you people. Father, forgive your ignorance. In the US, with 320 million people, there are 2.6 million nurses. In Nigeria, we have maybe about 30 something thousand nurses for a country that has over 200 million people. But there are 26 categories, of nurses.
Yeah.
Some nurses can train in 4 weeks. Some
Yes.
can train for 6 years. Some can even train for 10 years, like emergency room, surgery.
Yes. What happened?
Later,
Yes.
Festus Keyamo says he wants to hire 774,000 Nigerians to be cleaning gutter.
Oh my God.
And people are praising him. Oh, he went to fight the senators, 774,000 people to clean gutter. After 3 months, the program is gone. Nobody's even asking. So, and what was the cost? At 20,000 naira each, 52 billion. Chicken change for Nigeria. But if we have 600,000 nurses spread across Nigeria, this COVID situation that we are facing with now, malaria, diarrhea, infant mortality, and all of those problems we have, you have people can take care of people, because a lot of people today in Nigeria, they don't even go to doctors or nurses. They go to the local pharmacists.
Yeah.
You buy drugs, whatever they recommend for them, they use. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work on Sunday, you go and pray and hope you don't die. That is how Nigeria is working right now. But look at the solution to a problem that could have been deep and fundamentally able to rescue the health sector.
Yes.
Apart from investments that we can't talk about today. Look at, they want people to go and clean gutter. If you clean gutter, you are likely to fall sick. You are going to need nurses to take care of you, because we particularly have dirty sewage, open sewage system in Nigeria. But I wanted to also quickly address your question about the security issue and whether I support regional police. I completely support. I don't believe in the central policing that we have in place now. In fact, I support it to the point that I support even campus police. All I want is for standardized policing system, so that every police that is training from a training center that is federally approved. So that, and whenever there are problems with policing, the federal government can go in there and ensure that the policemen are not abusing the rights of others. Otherwise, all these governors will turn state policemen into hit squads and they'll be killing people like flies. I don't have a problem with Amotekun, but I know the people behind Amotekun. They are not interested in, they are just using it as a negotiating tool with the northerners. Some of the people who are managing, one of the people who is behind Amotekun was one of the people accused of killing Delegiwa in 1986. So how do you put Amotekun, a security unit, in the hand of a character like that? And you want me to respect that? My problem are the proponents of these ideas. I know that if someone who hasn't paid workers in his state is proposing to hire Amotekun, if you don't pay Amotekun salary, Amotekun will become armed robbers. It's a matter of time. Because they will have guns, they will have vehicles, and they have no salary. What do you think they will be doing? They'll be robbing people.
Yeah.
So it has to be properly, discussed and ensure that everybody is on board. That's all I'm asking for. Otherwise, you can have police. Right now, as a matter of fact, there is police everywhere. Everybody is policing his own space. There's no house to go to. You see a megad there.
Yes.
Right? You go to the estate, there is the private security there.
Yes.
You go anywhere, there are guns and weapons everywhere for people to protect. A lot of people no longer take chances in this country.
Yeah.
And we know that. So, but again, I just want to quickly address that so that our people can have a holistic understanding of what I'm discussing with you. And I hope that we'll be having this kind of engagement.
Yes, that's
more of this kind of engagement.
Yes.
So people can connect with these conversations we are having, and they will not be fooled by the razzmatazz out there. Part of the reason why you see me speak with confidence and which drives some people crazy is because I know so many of the politicians who are running Nigeria. I've known some of them for 30 years. I know them personally. I know them individually. Some of the rich people you claim are rich, I know that they are bank debtors, who go and borrow money from the bank and use another borrowed money to pay the debt back. And all of them are owning Amcon, which is buying toxic debts, and they are living off of you. But you are celebrating them as billionaires. As billionaires, yeah, the other day somebody was saying that Hush Puppy, they're comparing Hush Puppy with Dangote. I say, if you know how Dangote made his money, you will respect Hush Puppy.
Really? Dangote is one of the most hardworking Nigerians, selling rice and all that.
Selling rice. So many of them are just collecting dollars from the central bank and reselling in the black market. What are you talking about? They don't, they don't pay duties when they import things. They use political connection. That's why they're always interested in any election that's held in Nigeria, pouring money, put their candidates in there, so that some of them, the people you are praising, if you give the benefits they have to a goat, they will become billionaire. So it's the reason I introduced this idea in my last interview I had. Someone that, when you're talking about Hush Puppy, don't forget Hush Daddies too.
I want to thank you so much for taking time out to spend with us. In closing, do you have any last words for our viewers? I see there were so many people on here supporting you and rooting for you. Oh my goodness, I've never had so many people on a live show. Please say a few words to our audience and then we will close out. And I thank you so very much for taking time out, to spend your afternoon with us. Go ahead, please.
Yes, just to let them know that they should not give up. They should keep tracking and supporting our work and our ideas, because these ideas, the time of these ideas have come, and there's nothing anybody can do about them. Whether they arrest, detain me, kill me, if we've reached a point, we've reached a big breaking point, and we have reached a point of no going back.
Yeah.
And I want to just say to them, Aluta continua, Victoria Sata.
Okay.
That is the continuous victory is certain. Revolution now.
That's what you used to do in Unilag. Great Akokite. I salute you. Thank you very much.
You attended Unilag too.
You didn't know. I was there when you gained admission, because I was Miss Unilag in 1988 and you came in 1989. Okay. So I am 4 years older than you. When I talk to you, say Auntie Regina. Thank you very much.
You stayed in Moremi, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Maybe you were one of the ladies who I bought suya for.
No,
and went away with my suya.
You were a small boy. You were a small boy. You used to say Auntie Regina.
There was never a time I was a small boy. There was never a time I was a small boy. Never.
You were a skinny boy in Unilag in 1989. But you have done well. Thank you so very much. You have done very well.
Between the two of us, huh? Have a nice evening.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Good night. Yes. And there you have it, people. A very informational interview with Sowore. It's good to talk to people, Before now, I never really thought much of him. I just thought of him as a troublemaker. But the boy, or let me say the man, has come into his own. Politically, he is in every right an icon. And I hope to see more of him in terms of informing Nigerians and educating Nigerians and taking us from where we are to where we really ought to be. Thankfully, he's lived outside. He has experienced good governance. He has studied out here, and he knows what the country needs. So I am curious to see what he brings to the table when we come to the next round of election in 2023. Until then, I would like to say thank you for spending your time with me. Good night. God bless. Stay COVID-free, and see you next time out on our Saturday online clinic. See you next time out on Office of the Citizen. Thank you so very much. I'm a nurse. That's why I'm always talking about the clinic. Thank you for spending time with me. Good night. God bless. Take care of yourself and of each other. Bye-bye. Oh my God, that was something. Damn.